Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. Today, we are embarking on an often overlooked journey, the experience of living alone. We'll dive into the intricacies of cultivating a joyful home, delve into crucial safety tips, and underline the significance of nurturing one's spiritual life while living solo. So fasten your seatbelts as we delve into this enriching path of self-growth and spiritual development. Welcome to the Route 77 podcast. I'm Natasha, your host. I'm here with Monique.
Hello.
And David.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about living alone.
Solitude.
Just being alone, depressed in your house.
Been there, done that.
Isn't that what it means when you're single and living alone?
I thought that at first. I think because when I first started living alone, I was literally alone because I'd been married first. Then he was gone because he died. So then there was nobody to live with me, even if I wanted to. At first, I think I was a little depressed. But eventually I got over it because I started to find contentment in living alone.
How about you, David? I know that you have a roommate now, but what was it like pre-roommate?
Awesome. How do I word this? It's a blessing that you can live alone, but it also requires a lot of patience, thought, willingness. You have to be able to recognize aspects of your life that may not be as good, bad habits, etc., etc. Otherwise, you'll end up developing a bunch of bad habits, but not be able to recognize them. And then you going back into society might be a bit of a challenge, or you are moving in with someone, a roommate, etc.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely something. The accountability is the thing that's high on the list when it comes to that, because there's so many things that if you were in a relationship or if you had children, or even as we found out being roommates, like that's just different than if you're just by yourself. There's a lot of things you can just let go.
Yep. You have no accountability to anybody when you're living alone in your own place, especially if you don't tend to have visitors. So you can become quite lax in a lot of things if you're not disciplined in certain areas like cleanliness, cleaning your place, doing just washing dishes and doing laundry. People do that for, do my clothes, but do you change your bed sheets? Do you dust your furniture? Do you vacuum? When you live alone, you can let all that kind of thing go. And a lot of people who are hoarders, they become that way because of loss and stuff. So they end up collecting things. And then next thing you know, they've got no place to move around. And a lot of them do live alone.
Yeah.
I remember when I was living alone and I was a little bit of a collector. I had a junk room that I had stuff that I had a hard time getting rid of. And I was watching a lot of TV around that time. And I started watching one of those hoarder shows and went, yeah, we're going to get rid of stuff. So we ended up doing a lot of recycling and taking things to the thrift store and throwing things out. Let's not go there.
Don't go down that road.
Yep. Still have a little bit of that problem. But I suffered a lot of loss and trauma early on in my adulthood. It's understandable how I ended up like that, because when you suffer trauma and loss, you do tend to want to hold things because of that fear of losing things. But I find myself feeling now wanting to get rid of that kind of feeling, that I don't feel I need to be like that anymore.
No, it's good. And I think too, another thing that can happen when living alone is that you forget the world doesn't revolve around you. And you're used to being in your place where your rules and your way you live, and no one says nothing about anything. And then you forget what it's like to share and think of others and to understand that there's other ways of doing things and being compassionate and giving grace and all these things, because you're so used to having it your way all the time. And this can be a danger. I'm not saying everybody has that, but it's a danger.
Yeah. I'm probably the one that probably ran through all of these. Okay. Yeah. Because I lived alone for a very long time. I bought my own condo. I would go to work, I'd go home, go to work, go home. The only outside thing that I did was go to church. So for a long time, I stopped phoning friends. I stopped visiting friends. I stopped having friends come over So I had to really force myself to start making contact with people again. I
Yeah.
just didn't want to.
I get that.
How many does your friends not engage with you? Because the whole statement you said implied that you were the one that would have to engage with them in order for them to actually engage with
Isn't that funny that when you said that, I'm going, yeah, friendship should be a two-way street. And I shouldn't be always the one to reach out. So maybe that was part of what happened then too, is that is like, why am I always the one to make the phone calls?
But sometimes there's the not answering the phone calls or
There
the
is
text
that too.
message or
Yeah.
the email or the Facebook chat. And you're like, I don't feel like talking. And then it just today, I don't feel like talking at the moment. I've got a headache or whatever, or I'm tired. I'll talk to them and then it gets pushed off. And I think you did that.
No,
That could be
no,
definitely
no.
something, and I've done that.
Yeah. But that one friend, she did come occasionally to come and visit me as well. She would call and say, come on, can I come over visit? So it wasn't always just a one way. And she was busy. She had kids and she had her own thing that she was going through as well. I get that as well. But yeah, sometimes I find that, especially the last couple of years, the amount of people who have called me has been pretty limited since we moved into the house. And we had an adjustment movie
Yeah.
as well, because you were married and then you were alone
For a year.
and then I had been living alone for 15 years, 14, 13, 14, a lot of years. It was a lot of years. So the adjustment was probably harder for me because I had been alone for such a long period of time. Now, all of a sudden, I had to have the consideration of living with somebody who I knew but didn't.
Yeah. No walking around naked.
No, please do not do that. Don't do that. And making sure that you close and lock the bathroom door because, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, somebody's in there.
I'm so used to.
You're so used to when I lived alone, my bathroom was off my bedroom through a walk-through closet. Cat would come and sit at the floor and tell, what are you doing? I'm just getting ready or whatever. And it wasn't a thing. Now it's out in the hallway where everybody gathers. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to, excuse me.
We're all having coffee right outside the bathroom door, waiting for everybody to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Carly and I.
Yep. Well, it's funny too, because Carly and I share that bathroom.
Yeah.
And if she's in the bathroom and sometimes you just it's like, where do I go? And I know you said, you can just use my bathroom. I'm like, yeah, but that's your bathroom.
And then there's downstairs.
And then there's downstairs. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it. There are those kind of things as well. But yeah, so I think it took us about 6 months at least before we started to feel comfortable living together and not. Am I in your house? You in my house? This is my house. Why am I here?
And then, yeah, so it was an adjustment period, but at the same time, we're both really laid back people.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff doesn't phase us, I think. So maybe other people would have a more difficult time.
Yeah. But we're just like, nah, whatever.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
We both have similar personalities and similar ways of doing things. So just meshed.
Yeah. Yep. If something doesn't get done, the other person picks it up, vice versa.
Yeah. Yep. It worked out well. So that's one thing. Like we chose to buy a house together, partly just because it would be nice to own a house. I think partly because there's no reason why people don't have the option to not live alone, to live with somebody, to not live by themselves. They have the option even if they're not married or in a romantic relationship. You don't have to in order to have companionship and friendship and just being around other people.
Yeah. And those times when we do find that we need the solitude, I'll go into my room or you'll go outside or
Barely home. So
you're barely home. Yeah, I know. You're always working.
yes. Wow.
Money bags.
So yeah, I do try to just that I'm usually on the couch playing my video games in the few little minutes I have off.
Yeah.
That's just
And if I want to watch TV or whatever, I've got the big one in my bedroom, so it makes no difference to me to go there.
yeah.
I just tend to sleep a lot because
So yeah, there's people who choose to live alone. They choose that they choose not to have roommates and things because they feel like it's just going to be an inconvenience or they have to fight the right person and whatnot. And that's valid. But you have to be aware that these are some issues that will come up is that you don't have accountability to others and that there can be some things like David said, bad habits can start coming up and then forgetting about
Other
people.
And then finding yourself feeling extreme loneliness and thinking that people have abandoned you. Right.
Yeah. So we want to talk about just living alone or how to choose to live as a single person. Like you can do what Monique and I did, find a person, like-minded individual and buy a house or rent a place together or like David
Or even a large condo.
Roommate. And that helps to with that's that loneliness factor. It doesn't have to be something that's made up and like that. The loneliness is stopped by romantic relationship. There's many other options.
Absolutely. We have another couple girlfriends who they've been best friends. They grew up together. They're best friends, and they had decided same thing. There was no marriage or relationships on the horizon for them, so they determined the same thing as to buy a house, and that's how we ended up because we went to them to ask, "How did you
Make this work.
make this work without killing each other?" And this was actually the house that we went to was actually their second house.
Yeah.
Because their first house, they got bought out because they were going to build apartments there. With the windfall that they got from that, they were able to buy the house that they're in now. And yeah, they just gave us pointers and tips on how to make a joint venture like this work between two people who are not romantically involved.
Yeah. And aren't family bound by like laws and stuff. Like if something ever happened to one of us, then if you were sister, like biological sisters, there would be a certain way that the law would look at it. But because we consider each other spiritual sisters, but that's not in the law. That's not the same.
It doesn't recognize that.
So there is like legal things we have to consider and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But for the longest time, like for a number of 13, some odd 14, whatever years that I lived by myself, like literally by myself, I hope that I can give a lot of information for anybody else who is living alone and what they can do to be able to survive that. Because I found after a while, it was like I really enjoyed the solitude, especially since I work in retail. I was always around people, always having chattering and phones and stuff like that. That when I got home, it was my quiet place. And some days it was just like, I just want the quiet of not having to deal with people.
yeah. So I think one of the first steps is to just step back and then realize that this place that you live in, this home, this rental, this condo, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is that you're living in, it doesn't have to be like a pit of loneliness.
It could be a blessing.
It could be a place of solitude, which is like different. It can be more God centered and a place that can be peaceful, relaxing, restful.
Yep.
And
A way to recharge your batteries. Yep.
yeah. What do you think about this so far, David?
A lot of it's just kind of explaining what you guys went through. For me, I don't know. For me, it's my experience is just a bit different. I'm very easy to get along with. I do not care about literally anything. You can be a bit messy. You can, I don't know, just any what commonly people consider pet peeves or stuff that you have to compromise for. I just never really cared about. I guess I see as I'm very tolerant. Like I just don't care, and I haven't really been told anything about my habits and stuff around the apartment from roommates either. Either I found roommates who fit well with me, or you're just too shy to talk about them. But overall, I normally just am very chill to live with.
Yeah. We tend to be the same. Pretty
Yeah.
chill.
And I think that's part of becoming relaxed in your home. It's a place where you don't have to control everything and be on your A game all the time or whatever and show up your
But if you're a neat freak and you want to share a home with another person, you might want to make sure that the person you're sharing your home with is also a neat freak. Otherwise, there's going to be problems.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're going to find a person to share the space with, then it's got to come with prayer and wisdom and
Yeah.
figuring out if these are people that you can get along with
Yeah.
in a long-term situation.
Yeah. And if you're not a neat freak, but you like to have a clean house, a house cleaner is a
Blessing.
yes. David,
Yeah, I can't see. Crap. Yeah.
for me, like the one thing that I hate to clean, I don't mind vacuuming, dishes, all that kind of stuff. Toilets. Can't stand it. Cannot stand cleaning toilets. The bathrooms, toilets, can't stand it. It's not like I haven't done it. I just can't stand it. So to have somebody else come in and do that, yes, thank you very much.
Exactly.
It's primarily floors, just floors, walls.
Making sure there's nothing for you to step on.
Yeah, I can do dishes, and cooking, and wiping, vacuuming,
Yeah.
and sweeping and stuff. But I have a cleaner come in because I can't catch everything.
Yep. Better. Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yep. And that's the thing too, being visually impaired, having somebody to take care of those little things that you wouldn't normally be able to take care of yourself because of that. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I think I would encourage people who are living by themselves to try to keep a tidy
Yes.
place. That's going to help with your mood and your outlook.
Yes.
Oh, I can vouch for different moods for the next couple days.
Yep. Come in, the house smells nice. Oh, it's clean.
Yeah, that's great. It does get all the positive hormones flooding
Yeah.
through your body.
Yep. Even there, that has a little joyful walk about it.
And if you own your own place, whether it's a condo or a house, doing your own decorating is also a mood lifter. When I was in my condo, I had repainted the kitchen because it was very dark and there was no windows. So I painted it a very pale yellow, brightened the whole thing up and just said, wow, that looks so nice. And I felt fabulous for days because, I had to pull out the stove and the fridge and I cleaned everything and the floors and the walls and everything. And I painted everything. It's like a new beginning. Those kind of things can just be really mood lifters too.
And there's also things like, even if you're not into pictures and hanging and stuff, there's like wall stickers and door stickers and things that make it like, I'm not I'm artistically challenged when it comes to artwork and even design and decorating. But I can be like, well, those are nice stickers and you can put them on the wall if you want, or you could
Take them up when you're tired.
yeah, it's the stuff that you can data that's already done for you. You just apply, you don't have to. There's just lots of different varieties of decorating. That's not just this, like what you would basically stereotypically think of.
Yeah. And there's things that I want to do to this house because I find it very sterile. When I've got pictures, it's just a matter of carrying them up. Yeah, we've got that hole there where the stairs are.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating because, I always envision myself going down in a very rough way.
There's just so many ways you can.
Yeah.
And I think was one of the best things, like, I maybe not the best, but a kind of cool way that you can jazz your place up is a shower curtain. You can get some pretty funky shower curtains for not a super lot,
Yeah.
like not much money, especially on Amazon or whatever. And you can go and it just like brightens your mood when you see it. Like it could be a funny one. It could just be really pretty. It could, like I have this one that's like marble look, and when I'm showering, it's because it's a random pattern. Like I see things in them, like, oh, that looks like a dog, or that looks like an arm. So like when you so it's just constantly, but it's like a positive thing, and it's something like I said, like it doesn't cost a lot, and you can change it out.
Yeah,
It's $15-20, and you got a whole new bathroom.
Yep.
So
There's little things because you don't have to do huge, massive things. And if you're renting, there's some things you can't do because the rental agreements will not allow you to do things like paint the walls unless it's white, hanging up pictures because they put holes in the walls unless you're willing to fix them afterwards. Stickers is a good idea because they don't do anything to the walls.
yeah.
And you can get those kind of stickers that don't stick. They stick, but they're able to be
Peel off.
wonderful. Yeah.
Another addition to the house, if again renting it may not work, is a pet.
Yes.
They
Some rentals, if you do a pet deposit, will allow a lot of places will allow you to have a small dog or a cat.
Yeah.
For the short fare.
Birds, cats, dog. There's so many kinds out there that you can find one that fits your taste, and it can just bring a kind of a joy, spark of movement. Even if like When you put like an aquarium in and you have like fish floating around, it can just bring a whole another ambiance to the
But you have to be the kind of person, though, too, that is willing to take on the responsibility of a pet. And if you're not sure if you can deal with the responsibility of a pet, start with a plant. If the plant dies, don't get a pet. But plants are a nice way to liven up a place too. If a pet is just not something you want to deal with because of the responsibility, vet bills, food, cleanup. Got a dog, you got to take it for a walk. Got a cat, you got a litter box. But some people don't like that. With birds, let me tell you the mess a bird can make. You don't, unless you're willing to deal with that. But plants can be a really nice way to liven up a place. And like my apartment was northeast facing, so I didn't have a lot of light. So all the plants had to be right up in the front area where the windows were so that they got as much light as possible. And I did a lot of plants out on the balcony. So I had a full jungle on my balcony because that's where I grew lots of flowers and plants there.
and now you're enjoying yourself, but you have a big garden.
Yeah. And my tiny little rose bush that I had in a pot for years and years, it had barely gone over 2 feet. And maybe the most I had was, I think 1 year I had 5 roses. Well, now the thing is higher than me and it's ginormous. In 2 years, it like quadrupled and stuff. I can't keep up with it. It's so happy. I've had so many flowers I can't even keep track.
So there's so many things that you can do within your home to make it your own.
Yeah.
Even if it's a rental,
Yeah.
there's things you can do to make it your own. So when you walk in, it's a place that you want to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about this one? Because this one is like my kryptonite. Cooking.
No way. I don't believe it.
I can't stand cooking.
Cooking.
And it's always the next day. I'm like, really? I need to eat food again? I just ate food yesterday. It's just not.
What? I get that every hour. Why am I hungry? Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, if you're a person that burns water, you might want to try cooking classes to help.
I don't burn water. I just
burn pots.
Burn pots. Forget they turn on the wrong burner and with a pot on it. That's not the one I'm using. That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that was fine.
Yes.
I had to laugh at that. It happens and that's the way it is. I love cooking, but you're also a bit of a picky eater.
I'm a picky eater, yes.
But it's not so much that you're a picky eater. There are just some foods that could possibly be an allergy or
just really don't like.
Or you just really don't like eggs, tomatoes, mushrooms.
All the things that Monique loves, so she can have all of those in perpetuity. So Monique makes food sometimes and it includes food for me. And I really appreciate it when she does. But because of my work schedule, there's half the time like I don't want to eat at 9:00 at night when I get back from Taekwondo just because it's so late.
And you're gone by 3:00. I don't get home till it's gone.
Yeah, it's just
really hard to.
And so for me too, because I work so much, it's hard for me to fit in quality food.
Yeah.
So I'm very much like cook some pasta, throw some sauce and cheese on it, and I'm good. But then I'm not good because it's not protein, and then I get hungry, and so it's healthy to eat that every day. Lots of carbs.
Yeah.
I usually hit Tim Hortons once a day,
McDonald's,
a couple times a week or more. Yeah, I'm just a bit too much that way because I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired, and so
even if I do leave you leftovers in the fridge,
yeah, I always forget there's leftovers because for me, I always make like just enough food for myself. Not that I'm not making it for me, but if I'm making spaghetti or something, I make enough for one.
Yeah,
and then I forget.
No, I'm good. Because if I make spaghetti,
it's real spaghetti. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not 5 minutes. It takes more than 5 minutes.
It takes a little bit. Yeah. Because I grind ground beef and I put in vegetables. I put into spaghetti sauce.
I'm usually going from work to Taekwondo. So I've got half an hour, maybe an hour if I'm like really lucky or less time. And I'm just like, just throw some pasta on, throw some sauce on it, string cheese, and have a glass of milk, and that'll get me through, try to get me through.
Yeah. And because you're on the road, I mean, we had this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
Because you're on the road, you don't have access to toaster ovens or microwaves. So for you to have anything like that while you're on the go is really difficult bringing along. And you're not a big sandwich person.
I eat sandwiches for a few days and then I don't want to see them for months.
Yeah.
Unless it's cream cheese on bread or something, then I'm good. Or like I said, bagels and cream cheese, I'm good. Have that every single day.
Yeah. So that might be something.
What were you going to say, David?
You and I are very similar when it comes to
You're not a cook either, right?
I guess I can
Oh,
cook, but anything related to protein prep meats and stuff it's a bit more challenging, but I can still do it.
Mm.
But I don't like cooking like Natasha does. So I do the pasta thing more often.
And the problem with that is as you get older, your metabolism's not as high, even if you're active, and it starts staying on parts of the body that you
yes.
don't want it to stay on.
Hips, thighs.
Tummy, things like that. And it's a really difficult thing. So I think, Monique, you're the best of the three of us because you do have the capability just to throw whatever on, and you're very like artistic when it comes to it. You can do this, that, and the other thing. And it means, not that it means nothing, but it's just, it's not a chore.
Yeah. When I was growing up, my parents always made me cook for the family. And it was a flop more than it wasn't. But I was a young teenager. And for my dad, it was just like, eventually you're going to move out of the house. You need to be able to take care of yourself. And going out to eat is not,
Financially viable
yeah, that's the word.
and probably calorie wise.
But I like so much. There's very little on the food scale that I don't like.
Sauerkraut.
Yes.
So don't
Liver.
feed Monique sauerkraut or liver.
Yeah. Sauerkraut, liver. I'm not a huge pork person either.
Yeah, neither am I.
Yeah. Because I find
Other than bacon
other than bacon.
and the odd bit of ham.
And they ought to have. Yeah.
But that doesn't really count.
That doesn't really count.
That's just its own food group.
Yep, it is. It is absolutely. It's part of the vegetable group, right? Yeah. But there's very little that I don't like to eat. So that makes when you throw something together, that makes it easier.
Monique, what is your suggestions for us people who don't like cooking and struggle with eating a healthy, balanced?
Make a list of what you do like to eat. Start with that. Because if you have a list of what you do like to eat, then at least you've got something to work with. Smoothies. If you have everything to make a smoothie, then you've got that as well, that you can make smoothies while you're running around as well. Even if you blend everything first, you can have that in a jar, in a cooler that can just go into and put this and that and make your smoothie. And then you've got something to make you go for the rest of that.
I guess the important thing with the smoothie one would be adding protein powder
Yes.
because you needed something to keep you going.
And protein powders are always in jars. So you can always take those with you as well. And a lot of smoothies, you just need water. So if you've got bottled water, you've got your protein powder, you've got your little blender, because they've got the little handheld blenders.
Yeah.
So these are all good things to keep around. And if you do some of them, if you get the kind that actually have the vegetables in there, you don't even have to worry about, because a lot of them come complete with the vegetables.
That's true. You can get like the all-in-one.
Yeah.
See, you can get them on a decent price if you get them on sale.
Yeah. And you can buy these little snacks and stuff like that too. And it's a lot cheaper to buy a package and keep it in the cooler. These are just some of those, because you're out and about. If you have a job that you are in an office and you have access to a microwave oven or a toaster oven or both, then your possibilities are limitless. Tamara, who I work with, she will make casserole dishes, and then she will separate the casserole pieces and put them in the freezer. And then when it's time to get ready for work, she just grabs everything what she needs and takes it to work, and then microwaves it when she's at work for lunch.
Lots of ideas.
Yeah.
Anything to add to this topic, David? Of food.
I kind of have your style, Natasha, of food, and then I like everything when he class. So it's just the kind of massive conflict. But honestly, I think what discourages me a lot is my inability to accurately determine if stuff is cooked or not. So I'm always actively working out. So if you have struggles with determining how food's cooked, there's always many different ways you can do it. It's all trial and error.
Yep. Slow cookers, Instapots, air fryers are great tools for people who struggle with knowing if things are cooked properly. A slow cooker, you can make stew, soup. Instapot, you could make so much in the
So much more, and it's so much bigger.
Yeah. And the air fryer is great. If you like chicken wings, I mean, there's a great marinade seasoning pack that I get, and with a cup of flour, and I get a bunch of chicken wings and I toss it all in that, Put it through the air fryer. It's one of your favorite things.
Yeah, so it's healthy and
It's chicken wings, and
chicken
it's
wings,
not.
but it's like healthier because it's not in the oil. It's not
Yeah,
deep fried.
yeah. Message me for more meal ideas.
It's right. So we've talked about making our house our own. And talked about food. Now I want to talk about safety.
Yes,
Because one of the big things when you're on your own is you're alone.
yes.
And like I remember I had a VR headset for my PlayStation 4 and it was cool but it had like headphones and you could do stuff. But actually I was thinking like, here I am. I'm basically blind and deaf to anything that's going on around me alone in a house.
Yeah,
Anybody say. And so it kind of creeped me out a little bit, even though I'd never had anything happen. But I'm sitting there basically like I have no like awareness of what's outside going on outside. So I didn't actually use it all that much.
yeah. Because I was alone in my condo, even though the condo had security, I've had strangers come and knock at my door quite a few times looking for somebody else, but they were at the wrong door. And it was like, what if it's somebody who is checking to see if I'm alone or not and trying to break in? Especially if you're female, your safety is
It was a thing of concern.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Because it no matter how strong you are or how well your self defense, if you're up against a knife
Or you're asleep.
or you're asleep,
So I think one thing that's helped us is, again, you have to be a simple person, but we have a dog.
a big
And
dog
A big dog.
with a big bark.
Yes. And he'll bark. He doesn't excessively bark. But if it's something he thinks is going outside, like he's got a deep enough bark that I think it would deter a lot of people.
Yeah. 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 And that there was that one time when you had gone to Ontario and you put the dog at a farm so that he wouldn't be alone. And I was in the house by myself because I think Carly was off doing house sitting. So I was just me and the cat. And I really had to think about the safety of the house. So I had to make sure that the gates were locked.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure that all the doors were properly locked. And I had to make sure where your swords were.
Now,
So,
in defense, sleeping with a sword under a pillow.
yeah. But I also parked in front of the garage so that
It looked like somebody was home.
there was somebody, yeah, so that that people would know. And listen, dog on the premises is in the window. So hopefully that was enough of a deterrent for anybody. We live in a pretty safe area. It's it's higher up, not quite mountain, but pretty
We're on the way
close.
up, yeah.
We're on the way up, and not a lot of people want to wander up that road because you have to climb it. And so, I was safe.
Yeah.
Very thankful that I had my Taekwondo skills behind me, but it was still kind of, yeah, I think I'm safe.
But you had that thought. The
Yeah.
thought's there.
Yeah.
But I think too, one thing that happened for us too, we had an Amazon package stolen right when we first moved in here. And so we put in the Ring doorbell.
Yep.
And that helped a little bit because you can see anything that's going on in front of your house. It'll record any movement and you can answer your doorbell from anywhere
Yep.
on your app. So it can make it seem like you're at home. If somebody rings the doorbell, you're like, hey, yeah, just leave it at the door. I'll be down in a little bit or
Yep.
whatever. You don't have to actually be at home and it helps.
Yep.
And then you can talk with the person from a safe part of your house as well. You don't
Yeah.
have to be right at the door with the door open.
No, and it's on both of our phones. So I have that too. So if somebody rings them, even if I'm home and I'm home alone and somebody rings the doorbell, it's like, hello, who are you and why are you at my house?
Yeah.
During the day, it's not so much of a deal, but more at night.
You don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have had the occasional stupid teenager come and ring the doorbell and run away.
3 in the morning. Not
Yes.
that people need to sleep and work in the morning. Obviously they don't.
And the last time that happened was like, I see you. Boy, did that person ever run. It's like,
I see.
don't go there. And that was the last time it's happened too. That's been quite some time since that happened.
Yeah. So making sure that your doors and windows do have locks that work and if you want to put extra in the sliding, you can always put the bar in the sliding tray so that even if the lock gets broken, there's no physical way they can open the
Yeah.
sliding door or window. Yeah, just being aware what locking gates behind you. You don't have to live in Fort Knox, but if you just being conscious about what's going on around you, make sure your door is locked. And
If you're in an apartment and you have the peephole and somebody knocks at your door and you look out the peephole and you don't see anybody out there, I would caution about opening the door to see if maybe I would call through the door, hello, is anybody there? And if you don't hear anybody, don't open the door, because it could be somebody who is lying in wait, waiting for you to open the door to break in. So if you don't see anybody through your peephole and nobody answers you when you say something, but if somebody says, yeah, it's just me, I says, can you stand in front of the door so I can see you?
Yeah,
Because you don't want to just open it up to anybody for whatever reason.
exactly. Any comments about this, David? Advice?
What you said doesn't always work, Nate.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, because you can't see anybody. But you can see, and that's something that you should talk about, David, because you are sight impaired. How would you deal with somebody coming to your door that you were not expecting? Do you just open the door for them?
Nope, I don't know. I don't open the door at all unless I know prior that I'm getting a visitor.
So that's a really good rule of thumb. If you don't know anybody's coming to visit you, do not open the door.
Yep.
And it's good to have
Keep your
alarms
sword at hand.
Got
at hand.
Yeah, I got
Don't work command weapons, okay? Get in trouble. But let's
Uh,
go down the road 77 and then I can have a sword. No, don't do that.
Nunchucks, bow staff, whatever works.
Yeah, a broom. It's amazing what can work as a weapon. Your cell phone, the edge of your cell phone, at the corner of your cell phone, on their wrist to break their hold. So come to Chang's Taekwondo if you want to learn more self-defense.
Yes. I preferred Alder Grove and various locations
In the lower mainland.
I'm going to be quite honest with you, though. I do not actually have any, I guess, fear related to fear. It's not my concern. What I do, though, is anything digital related, because there's a lot more harm other than threatening of your life. There's a lot more harm people do digitally than
Right.
there is in an actual physical confrontation, unless your life is.
Yeah.
It,
So you like bank security.
it is stupidly easy to get a hold of a lot of private information because a lot of people are not familiar with
Hmm.
how they should be locking, metaphorically, doors and windows on your phones or your computers, or you put your phone down, someone could just walk up and take it and you wouldn't know. And
Right.
then that's your whole life just in a little device kind of thing. So that's more of where I'm sitting. Not so much, oh, someone's going to break into my house. Because, yeah,
So David, what are some digital safety tips you have?
you have to be very cognizant and aware of what you're interacting with and where you are in the actual physical world. Make sure that you know exactly what you're receiving via emails or what. If you're going to Starbucks to have a coffee, I wouldn't recommend connecting to any outside Wi-Fi sources. Or if you do, if you need the internet, I wouldn't do anything like banking or texting private information to friends or family or anything like that. If you want to do that kind of thing, I would recommend just using your data on your phones.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that, because a lot of people use the internet connections at Starbucks, Tim Hortons.
But what's interesting is when you do any of those, you connect to any of them, they always say this is like an open Wi-Fi. Don't be doing anything like it's private on these things that you could
Technically get
at. Yes. So while we're talking about this, we don't want to like scare people where they're like, I'm not safe in my own home. Like we've just been said that.
I'm not safe on my phone or my computer.
I'm
just gonna
I'm
go
to
and
live in
sit
a bubble or somewhere. Yeah. This is where using your common sense.
Yeah.
Putting preparations, putting, decent locks, maybe get like a ring doorbell, just doing what you can. Getting a big dog. That's just fun. That's just a fun aspect.
Or get a bird and teach it how to bark like a dog.
There you go. That's not hard at all.
Yep. If you get a parrot, then
There
you
you
do
go.
it.
This might be barking all the time then. So this is part of life, but we don't want people to be scared where like they're afraid all the time.
Yeah.
No, these are just things we want to bring up as possibilities and things that you should be aware of and remember, and try to give tips on how to help if like force people who are single and living by themselves,
Who are about to.
or about to, if you're like in a relationship you need to get out of, or if something happens to your spouse.
Or if it's time to move out of the house, you're the chick that's leaving the nest.
Yes, exactly. All big thing.
But I'm sure your parents will tell you all about these things.
Yeah. So use common sense,
Being aware.
do what you can do, and prayer.
Yeah.
understand that God is in control. The evil in the world is not greater than God. And that,
And we don't yet live in the kind of world where just walking out of your home is a danger.
no, and then there are other countries where, yeah, you'd be much scared just to walk down the street.
Yeah.
So we could be
And
thankful.
unfortunately, we can't avoid every situation.
Yeah.
But if you are aware of your surroundings and the people around you, you have a greater chance of avoiding the situation than not.
And remember, like things like Monique said, your cell phone can be a weapon to help you. Keys can be a weapon to help you.
Yeah.
Things that you have around you that, again, it's not to be fear mongering, but it's just to create awareness that you go, I don't know what to do. These are things that can help.
Yeah.
You almost always have your cell phone on you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have your keys on you or a key or something that can be used as a weapon. So you aren't fenceless.
No.
Then it's just like you just have your contingencies in place and hopefully you never have to use them.
And also, sometimes the best place to go is very public and public areas with a lot of people, a lot of witnesses.
Yes.
But
Exactly. So again, pray about times when you're feeling maybe the pressures of being alone, the fear of being alone when it comes to things like safety and things like that. Pray about it because God is in control. He's bigger than any of the things that can potentially harm you. And he's kept you this far in your life.
I lived alone for a lot of years. I never was bothered.
Yeah. So again, it's not to fearmonger. It's not to make you afraid to go out of your house. But if you're aware. No, I think it was a story like they said, like a guy was stuck on the side of on his roof in a flood. And like he was praying to God for help. And so like a guy in a canoe comes by and he's like, hey, I can help you. No, I'm good here on the roof. And the guy left and another guy came and motorboat and kept praying like, God save me. And then the guy came, oh, I can help you. And he said, nope, I'm good. And God saved me. And then a helicopter comes, we'll rescue you. And he says, no, I'm good. And then he ends up drowning and he gets to heaven and he goes, God, why didn't you save me? He says, I sent you 3 guys to help you.
and that's a very good example of how God works, because God doesn't work on instant saving. God is a God of opportunity. He'll provide you over everything else.
And if you really are one of those that, you are concerned for your safety and you want to be able to defend yourself, getting into a self-defense class. Yeah.
And martial arts and self-defense classes can do that in a really good way because it can help you understand your body, what happens, like watching other people, how their bodies move and your reactions. And by doing it, it creates muscle memory in where it can come out in extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
So again, take the actions to protect yourself and to create a safe and homely and relaxing place at your home and create in yourself a person who's at peace, but is doing what they need to do, that God has given the abilities to do to make their single life their fullest life.
So wouldn't this lead into the spiritual part of being
the spiritual part?
Yeah. Because when you live alone, that's one of the things that can definitely fall on the wayside is having a spiritual life, reading your Bible, having prayer time,
getting to church.
Yeah.
I was very bad at that.
Yeah. And then you moved in with a housemate who drags you off to church every Sunday.
That's it.
When I can, because when you're not working.
Hopefully that changed.
Yeah. But it was funny because when we first moved in, neither of us were very disciplined
when it came to devotions or anything like that. It was just horrible.
And I loved having prayer time. And I really missed that. After our first year, I started really feeling the pressure from God to start doing devotions because you're both Christian. You should be doing this. Okay, it's great that you have this house you live in, but you need to bring me into it.
Yeah.
And that's where, and God wants
I
to.
thought it was Heather who was pressuring me on God.
I think God was telling her to pressure you.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes.
Because God wants to be a part of your life. And we always seem to leave him the last little bit. If you've ever had a good cup of coffee and you got to the last little bit,
Dredge.
the dredge,
Or
is
the
that,
crumbs in the bottom of the chip bag.
yeah, is that what you're leaving for God? He should have the choice part of it. Give to him your best. Don't neglect reading the Bible. Don't neglect praying, because he is your help. He is your comforter. He is your guide. He is your strength when you're weak.
And that's how you create a peaceful environment around you, one that's uplifting and that you can go out and meet the world where it is, because you've got God on your side and you can say, yeah, God's on my side, me and God equals a majority or whatever. And that's one thing to say the platitude and be like, yeah, it's true. But if you're not ingesting his word and communicating with him on a regular basis, then that like relationship's going to be very tenuous.
And this is just such a perfect opportunity for self-development, for growth, for maturity. There's so many opportunities as a single person living in solitude.
If you're motivated, you can make the time. So you
Yes.
should be motivated.
Yeah.
We're motivating you. We're being accountability to you.
Yes.
Don't put this off. This is the most important thing in your life and should not be just an add-on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Route 77 podcast. If you have anything to add to this conversation or questions that you may have thought that we didn't answer, give us a shout. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can email us at route77ministries@gmail.com. That's ROUTE 77 ministries @gmail.com.
The 77 are the actual numbers.
77.
Yeah, 77, not written out. 77.
That'd be very long. Yeah,
That would be a very long email out.
yes. So we look forward to being here next time.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Good night.
Night.
And that's a wrap for today's journey on the Route 77 podcast. Hopefully, our discussions have given you some useful insights if you're living alone or planning to. Remember, solo living can be a truly rewarding experience with the right mindset and approach. Do you have any personal stories, strategies, or questions about living alone? We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or shoot us an email at route77ministries@gmail.com. Until next time, remember to create a happy home, stay safe, and live your single life to its fullest.